suffering. How are you feeling about the markets, man? Let's start with that. Do you think the markets impact, if we don't have a correction soon, do you think the markets impact what we do in our space, like
Yeah.
sides?
I mean, it's really simple, right? In
Of
the
course you would
end,
say yeah, but yeah, explain.
I think it comes down to the fact. No, I'm just gonna stop there. Yeah, the
Yeah.
impact. That's true. The Have you ever known me to not have a long-winded explanation for something that can be answered with one word?
Uh, well, so if things don't clear up soon,
Yeah,
right? Like we're not noticing obviously anything on the
not yet.
study side. We actually got more studies. Our slow period was quarter 4 of last year and maybe quarter 1 of this year. It's starting to pick up. Like we're getting a bunch of new studies starting. We're in contracts on a couple others. That doesn't mean those can't be canceled. I was around in the great financial crisis.
Were
I
you not?
remember. Yeah, I was there. I had a site.
Oh, you were not around. I was like,
No,
wait,
no, I was there. I
yeah,
was
we both
there,
were.
and
That's when
that's
we
right.
approximately when we started meeting, when we
It's
started
yeah,
connecting.
when we met on Twitter, because I was like, "Shit's ugly. Let me see who else is suffering." And LinkedIn wasn't mature enough yet, so I went to Twitter, and there you were,
Yeah, yeah.
tweeting fear porn back then too.
We're doing
Not
career
much has
suicide
changed.
right now.
Not much has changed, but you've gotten more. You've gotten slightly less fear porn in your posts.
Have I? I need to fix that.
Slightly, yeah.
Yeah, I need to fix that. That's not acceptable.
So what's with the look, man? You get the beard growing out. Like, are you just
Yeah.
waiting for the markets to correct?
Yes. So once the market's correct, I will. By the time that happens, I will have a Brad type of beard. It'll be like this
Ah,
long. So,
it's gonna take
um,
a while.
right. Well, that's my point. But
So no one. There's a. I've been on X all morning, and even Trump supporters were saying, "Yeah, no one voted for this. Like this is, we want to. We're okay with America first, but not America only." Was a
oh,
remarkable tweet I read just
oh,
right
that's
now
an
before we went
interesting
live.
soundbite.
Yeah. So clearly no one voted for like nuclear style tariffs, right? We voted for strategic tariffs or just improved business
What does
outcomes
that
for
mean, though? Because the biggest problem is no one understands the logic to the tariffs
right,
yet.
right. Well, I think the deeper meaning is the balancing the budget, like the federal deficit, right? Just the trillions in interest we have to pay every year was getting out of hand. So
Mhm.
if you think about this as a crazy way of, and maybe narcissistic way of like lowering that deficit and lowering that interest payment, although no one was okay with it this fast, and that might not even be the outcome they wanted. The 10-year treasury was still over 4 this morning, despite all this trillions of value coming out of the market.
I don't know what. I mean, they asked Trump this over the weekend. Like, is there a number at which you would sort of rethink where you are? He's like, no. So
They,
I I I I try to stay outside the politics of all of it. Like, I think
yeah,
that's. I, do you know who
but
Dave
it's so
Ramsey is? Do,
intertwined.
do you know who Dave Ramsey is?
Yeah, I don't particularly
I'm not saying you
follow,
do
but
or that,
yeah,
but the point being, one of the things he said is that what affects you is usually the local stuff. It's going to affect your life directly.
yeah,
And the national stuff rarely affects you. This might be one of those exceptions where it really the national stuff is going to affect you. But
well, yeah.
I try to focus more on local stuff, and then I ignore it because it's local stuff and who cares. So I usually just focus on like what I can do and what I can control.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Me too. I go hyper local, like my family. What's going
right,
on here? Like, you know,
exactly,
is everyone okay? Are they sick? Is it,
correct.
stuff like that. But great financial crisis comes around every 15 years or so, 20 years.
Or every 3 years if you count COVID.
If you count COVID, but that like I'm talking like we're going local to our industry. Research sites
Uh-huh.
were not really affected during that period.
Of
They
course you were.
were
I mean,
for
the
a
sites,
quarter, for a quarter.
but that's still affected.
Yes, there were layoffs, it was started as like layoffs because of
Sure.
uncertainty, and then
Yeah.
ended up just being people getting reshuffled.
Yeah, it was amazing. Like that period was just exponential growth for everyone.
Yes. People got
Um, yeah,
reshuffled. Looking back, people are like, that was the best thing that happened to me because I didn't know that I can do this in my career.
yeah,
A lot of people started sites, a lot of sites expanded into different therapeutic areas. A lot of CRAs went to do other things that maybe with biotech. So that was a great expansion disguised as a bear
yeah.
market. But the great financial crisis was a bear market, not disguised as anything. That was just
You're
pure.
talking about the 2008 recession.
Yep. Yep.
The 2008 recession, I think, caused a lot of the froth that was left over from 2000. So I'd say probably about every 8 years or so, you'll see something chaotic happen.
Mm.
So if you average that out, between 2020 and 2024, counting that, you've had four. So 2000, 2008, 2020, and 2025. I'm going to count right now to be fair. Like
It's five. Yeah.
it's
5 years.
average. Yeah. So I think Trump, I don't even know if he knows what he wants as an end result. I think that's my problem. Like I guess if he knew, and maybe he just hasn't told us, and that's fine too. But if he knew that this is when I will change something, it just feels very open ended, and that I think is what scares the markets.
Yes, and he just tweeted, or not tweeted, but he's on some other platform
Truth
which
Social.
which no one uses. Yeah, Truth Social. Uh, I'm getting it from Twitter though, or
Yeah,
X. Just in, Trump says if China does not withdraw tariffs by April 8th, U.S. will impose 50% tariffs on April 9th. So
sure.
that's by tomorrow.
Not helpful.
By when?
But
So this is not getting better anytime
right.
soon.
He he came out and he is like, what do you want people to do? Do you want people to just go, oh, you have tariffs and that's okay? Like, how likely is that to have
Right.
no impact from the other
Right.
side? And
I
I
think
think
people
that's
want it
what everyone's struggling with.
reciprocal. I think people are okay with reciprocal tariffs.
Right.
So
But you need to
10%
define what a
for us.
tariff is.
Right, but if they charge 10% for us importing something into Germany, for example, we should at least do the same.
But I think the problem is that,
But this is crazy. This is something else. This is just nuclear.
right. And I think part of it is you come out there and you say, we're gonna, we have a deficit. The
Mhm.
truth is, I think I read this from someone talking about Europe. We provide more services, they provide more goods. So the actual trade deficit is actually close to zero. But only looking at the goods because that's what favors us.
Right.
And even then, those numbers don't line up. So no one really even knows where those numbers came from. Kelvin's pointing out that it may be a bilateral negotiation tool. I mean, that's great to say that, but right now that it doesn't feel bilateral. If the numbers are made up, you
Oh
can't
yeah.
really.
And this is giving Trump the benefit of the doubt that the art of the negotiation or whatever. I
Out of
actually
the
read that
deal.
book back in the day. Yeah.
Out of the deal.
Which he didn't even write, but it's still a good book.
It
I
is.
like the book.
And again, I don't. If there was a clear, here's what we want,
Yeah.
then I'd be fine with that. But I don't think that's clear.
I think he just wants other countries to bow down to us, and that's they're not gonna do that just because.
Exactly. I think that's the struggle.
And so we have this stalemate. But bringing it back to home,
How is it going to affect our industry? I think in our industry,
so
people
I'm
are going
seeing
to
no effects
pause.
right now, but I don't know about next month or the month after,
Exactly. Exactly.
and we don't know if it lasts that long. I'm hoping it doesn't. I think he's talking about April 8th. Right now, it's April 7th for those watching in the future. He's talking April 8th, April 9th. So this is a dynamic
I
situation that
don't. Did you hear what China said? I say China as in
Singapore,
like this.
Singapore.
No, China.
Oh,
China came out and said that so far we've respected global intellectual property rules.
hmm.
If you're going to impose these tariffs and basically shut down our business, we're not going to adhere to IP rules.
Well,
So you'll get your next iPhone directly out of China.
to
You'll
play
get
devil. Oh, so they're gonna just straight up steal
yeah.
because they were not playing fair to begin. Like to play devil's advocate, they were not playing fair. We did a broad pot on this.
We
Watch
did.
out with China because they're stealing your
But,
biotech
but
IP.
that was but that was the Biosecurity Act.
Yeah,
That was more of a we'll steal your knowledge. Now they're saying we'll share your knowledge. So,
What a time to be alive, man. No, the president of Singapore came out and said something like this marks the end of free trade as we know it and the new order of more hostile isolationism, I think was the
yeah,
words he used.
yeah.
So, what do you think? First of all, how do tariffs? He said tariffs will not affect drug pricing, so
Well,
they're immune.
he's accepted drug prices right now. However, he's already pointed out that he's going to come back out with something else for drug pricing. So that's going to be another thing. I think what he should have done is gone the other direction, which
Did that
is
first?
done drugs first. And the reason is I think he had an easier win on drugs. To say,
he
for
has
example,
general consensus, bipartisan consensus.
correct. To say drug prices are too high. Right now, if he's going to have to, we just discussed waiting 2 months and see if this thing's resolved. In 2 months, if it continues at the rate it's going, it's a nuclear winter. I don't think we can last 2 months.
There's no more stock market as we
Correct.
know.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, we're talking 2 days at this point because he said by April 9th.
Well, that's just tariffs. What does that do to the stock market?
And to Kelvin's point, the goal presumably is to incentivize manufacturing in the U.S. and reduce price of exports imposed on the U.S. I think tariffs chaos is the first step. He needs to target pharmacy benefit managers.
Sure, but that's a different beast. In fact, the PBM stuff just got paused.
Well, at least you got a better quality follower because Kelvin's one of the best. So you're not having these anti-dog people anymore, which was absolutely crazy, wasn't it? Insane.
Don't encourage the trolls.
Yeah.
Because you kept engaging with him.
Well, yeah. I mean, I was just fascinated by his argument. I was trying to follow, and then I realized
I wasn't. Crazy. I would have just ignored it.
Your follower, man. Your problem.
Well, you engaged him. I'm blaming you.
I engaged. I like to engage, especially trolls.
Do you? Okay.
Yeah, when I have time for it.
Yeah.
Okay, so should we be afraid in our industry, or is this just a blanket afraid just to be in America?
I don't think I can get past what this actually. I think our industry should be afraid anyways.
Yeah.
But because I think that's the next phase.
Well, a lot of people already are beyond afraid. They lost their jobs. Like,
correct.
There's nothing left to be afraid of, really.
Well, I think a lot of them are just losing. I think we're over a year behind now on our 401ks and stuff. I think you and I were having a conversation.
The value of what you've gained.
Like, yeah, exactly. You were a year behind.
I was stupid, man. I funded my IRA last week, and I bought last week instead of waiting for it now. But I should have probably waited till July.
You can't time these things. I wouldn't worry about timing these things.
Yeah.
A sec.
So do you see a potential where studies slow down?
I think studies have to slow down until people know what they can do.
What would be the driving force what would be the impetus for making studies slow down?
Well, they don't know where the money's coming from right now.
So, like, for example, Lilly or Pfizer, they're sitting on loads of cash. Do everything they've planned so far, because they've planned basically all studies through 2026, more or less.
Yeah.
Do those go away or do those continue? In your opinion, obviously.
It's hard to tell right now, right? Because you don't even know how bad this nuclear winter is going to get.
Let's say it gets bad. Bad.
If I was Lilly, what I'd do is I'd save my money.
But then what are you actually doing with your business?
Sell your product is what you would do. I'd probably invest into manufacturing sites in the U.S.
But they already have.
No, you do more. You try to onshore as much as you could, right? That's the whole point.
They announced some like $500 billion factory they're going to put.
Maybe, but the point is that enough? Because if you're basically saying your largest market by far is saying that if you don't make it here, it's going to cost you 25% more.
Yeah.
So,
but not drugs. Not drugs, though.
Why not?
Well, drugs were not part of the import-export.
Well, not yet, but the point is that there's going to be another element that goes into it, right? So,
Another shoe to drop.
yeah, we don't know what that shoe is.
I mean, can you imagine if the price of someone's prescriptions just quadrupled when they go to the pharmacy? Like, I'd look, as irrational as he seems to be right now, I don't think his cabinet would be okay with that.
I think we're already there. I think we've crossed the line of
I think the
designated.
tariffs is one thing. Here's an interesting thing, though. Like, only 50% of Americans own stock in some way or fashion. That includes all those funds and
Pension
retirement.
funds. I don't think you're right.
I think the stats show that it's 50.
What are you basing that on? Like, show me the stat, then we'll
Well,
look
I
at what
haven't
it says.
researched. I read it casually. I don't have the
My
reference.
TikTok said it.
You think we're prepared on this show, man? Let's just say it, take it at face value. 50% of Americans own stock.
Well, that's
So-
better than that. What percentage of Americans own stocks?
Are exposed to the stock market.
Okay, so first of all, in 2023, 61% of U.S. adults own stocks, making it the first time the average has been that.
First time they averaged that low or that high?
Between 1998 and 2008. This is literally Gen AI from Google. Here, let me.
One of the worst ones, by the way.
I agree. As someone who's a Google stockholder, I think it's garbage.
Yeah.
But having said that, please buy it.
It's worth holding for YouTube alone.
I know, it's literally like it's like
only thing they
Facebook. You're
have.
holding it for Instagram. You're not holding it for Facebook anymore. Share screen. Yeah.
Kelvin says, I'd sell and prioritize manufacturing.
that's my
in
point.
The US.
Can you see my screen?
Let me put it. Okay.
So this is what it says. Between 98 and 2008, 60% with the exception of 1 year. Low point was 2013 to 2016. The top 10% own 93% of stocks.
Right.
Upper income.
So that part right there is pretty consistent with what I read in that other article. So the 50, 60, whatever, who cares? But
that's owning stock.
Right.
Well, that's not. So that's really direct stock holding.
Yeah, it's not indirectly impacted by stock market. But most people who don't own stock don't even care what the market.
Because they don't know that they should care. Like your pension is affected.
Well, like I hang with people. I hang with regular ass people, man. They don't care what's going on in the stock market. They're always thinking about, should I get in? Like, they don't give a fuck, right?
Yeah.
They'll give a fuck when the jobs go away, though. And that's where it's interesting to see, because the stocks are kind of like a leading indicator for future layoffs.
Yeah.
And in the context of research sites, it's perhaps a future indicator of study activity.
Yep.
If it's prolonged. And I think we have long enough of a runway in our industry to accurately foresee it. So like this volatility we've had for a week, it's not enough to forestall like 2026 by Pfizer. But if it continues for 3 months at the same rate.
No, I'd say 2 weeks.
2 weeks?
Because people are going to start making changes, right? They're going to go, this has dramatically affected our market cap.
Who does it first, the small caps or the big ones?
Well, small caps won't have any money. They'll just shut down.
I own one right now. Shout out to AQST. Everybody look into it. It's good prices right now.
Just to be clear, he's not giving freaking investment advice.
No, it's on the bottom. I'm covered.
No, it doesn't say that at all.
Tax or no, not investment advice too. I'm not covered. Everybody knows I love this stock. It's the only one I own right now.
Yeah, that's not helpful.
Sure. Look into it. It's good science.
But anyways, so the point being, I think will companies come out? People are going to have to make some hard decisions. It's only been 2 days that has created essentially a financial nuclear winter. The fact is,
well, if you count the anticipation, and it's been like a week. It's been a week.
No, but no one really knew what the actual impact would be until it happened.
The market priced it in, and they didn't price in enough because it started going down like when the April 2nd was announced, Liberation Day. Remember? Which we're liberated now, man. We're obliterated. I'm patenting that or trademarking. We're obliterated. You like that?
I'm struggling. I'm struggling with. I always think that, you know what, and even today, I go with the assumption that everyone in power is trying to make the country better. The only difference is what you define as better.
I mean, I genuinely believe that's the plan here.
I believe that's the plan. However, I think that this is half cocked, is where we are.
I think here's what I think, my gut, and we probably agree. He thought this would be good. He thought other countries would get scared and bow down within days, and it hasn't. And he doesn't want to be the first one to
He
fold.
has to. Like, what are the
So
options?
he's going more further all in. Like when you
Right.
play poker, and people are
Yeah.
not folding because you're scaring them. Okay, let me put more chips in.
Sure. But at what point do you stop?
I don't know, when you run out of money, or when the
And
other
that's the thing.
people
He's
fold,
not running out of his money. We're running out of ours.
or when the other people fold. Which it
Yeah.
seems like they're getting together and coming up with their own plan.
Correct. Correct. And
Yeah.
and if they fold, what does folding even look like? I don't even know what folding looks like.
It means like negotiating to the point where like we win, U.S. in this
But
case.
what does that mean? I mean, they're
Favorable
all willing
terms.
to negotiate. They told them up front that I'll negotiate. China
Yeah.
said that. Canada said that. Like, everyone said that. So you already, if that was your goal, you had it before you started.
Yeah. And who was it that came in? Who was it? One of the countries came in and they said, "Yeah, we're willing to negotiate." And then Trump said, "Okay, we'll see in a few weeks, like how it works." So
Yeah.
he's
So
just
that's what I mean. Like,
it's gonna be chaos for a couple
so
weeks.
until you know, if you don't define success, how do you
Yeah.
know you've achieved it?
Right, right. So you think that's the main is that your biggest gripe right now is from the administration is not defining what they're actually trying to accomplish?
Well, I think no one, in the end, that's what everyone wants, right? That's what certainty looks like.
Yeah.
Either way, even if it's a binary point or it's a spectrum, tell me what you're aiming for, because then the market can price that in. Are we getting closer? Are we not? Do we need to adapt? But if we don't even know what we're aiming for,
Right. And it seems like a moving target to you.
correct. Like, every couple of days, he's like, "Oh yeah, Vietnam came back, and India came back, and China came back."
Right.
But what are they trying to achieve?
Well, there's people out here on X, one guy, Jason, he says, "I'm sticking with my prediction that he will declare victory by tomorrow. Vietnam, the EU, and Japan are more than enough to take a round one victory lap. We're pausing on countries that come to the table and negotiate in good faith," or something like that. So
But he
12
already had
plus
that.
leaders dropped their tariffs unconditionally. I guess he has, if he wants to save face, he can say, okay, 12 countries dropped their tariffs unconditionally. I did a good job, blah, blah, blah. Markets come roaring back, right?
No, I don't think they
You don't think
do.
they, did you see the fake news today? It happened for like 3 minutes. There was some fake news that came out that said President Trump is pausing tariffs for 90 days. Markets came back. And then the White House confirmed this was fake news, and they dropped back down. So market is baking in a resolution of this soon, and I think markets will react predictably in that case. However, if this prolongs, I think, like you said, it could be nuclear winter. A
Well, the
cold
question is,
summer.
prolonged to what
Those,
end?
those shirts were so like foreshadowing, man. It is gonna be a cold summer. I'm sorry, Guru Nation. Get your shirts. We're selling the merch soon.
That's
Might
right.
be
Where,
all
where
we
do they
have to
go for
sell.
that, Dan?
Right now you can't. You can get them for free. I'll send them to you. Recession hasn't hit me yet, so we'll send them for free.
There you go. Oh, you pay for shipping though.
Of course, it's actually pretty expensive too.
Exactly.
I don't go to the post office. I do FedEx, UPS store.
You're not messing around.
We don't have time for post office, man. Wait in line forever. That's a whole nother podcast.
Yeah. So I think, but the problem is, if he declares a loss on this one, you then have to you then
That's not
struggle
happening.
with.
That's not happening.
Well, that's the thing. He can't,
He has
Or-
the opportunity already to declare a victory
based on.
based on those 12 plus countries that dropped their tariffs.
But he had those before.
Right.
He's, like,
I
does
think
he
he
go to
wanted
Penguin
more.
and said yes? Like, there are literally places that only have penguins that he's tariffed. Like,
Antarctica or what? You
no,
can
no, it was
tariff
like it was literally like an island that's only inhabited by penguins. And he's
Greenland?
tariffed it. Yeah.
Oh, there's people there. Greenland even has downtown.
Which place are you talking about?
Greenland.
No, it's not Greenland.
Oh, okay.
I'm literally searching for ridiculous countries Trump has tariffed.
Reykjavik, Iceland?
No, not Reykjavik. No, these aren't like what you're describing are like legit countries.
Oh, you're just talking about like random, arbitrary, like you didn't even know they existed.
Yeah, no, this here.
Shout out to anyone watching from there.
I'm gonna show. To be fair, this is Cato, so this is actually a conservative website. But here, I'm gonna share.
Okay, let me share the screen. I think people want some clarity for what's happening because you wake up on a Monday and you're like, "Fuck, what the hell's going on?" You know.
Can you see? No. The herd in McDonald Islands.
Kelvin says South Africa.
No. This is it.
The herd in McDonald Islands are remote volcanic
undisturbed by
islands,
humans, but there's a 10% tariff on them.
The president just imposed a 10% tariff on islands without human beings or economic activity.
That's what I mean.
Maybe the White House.
I didn't declare victory against penguins.
Interesting, man. Is that on this chart that they released?
Yeah.
Brazil nuts too. Get
Brazil's
your selenium.
Is 7 here. Singapore's actually has a trade neutralization, even though despite that he still got a 10% tariff on them.
Yeah,
but it's reciprocal. What are you talking about?
And Brazil nuts are gonna be super expensive. Get your selenium somewhere else, folks. Yeah. I don't know, man.
It's my issue, and here's the weird part: Russia didn't get any, and again, I don't even have a problem with that.
Did we have a balanced but trade with them before deficit?
I'm sorry, just to clarify, with the herd in McDonald Islands.
No, not the herd. I mean, I'm sure we did with them as well. It's zero.
No, the reason he's not doing what do you call it? Russia is apparently they're already so tariffed out of their minds that it makes no sense to tariff them any further.
Okay. Interesting, man. Yeah, Calvin said he's not messing around.
Yeah, but
and I think
actually kind of is. That's the problem.
The people who voted for Trump and voted for austerity, essentially, and voted for like a reduction in waste, abuse, and fraud in government entities.
I don't know if that's happened though. I'd be a fan of it if it happened, but
when you nuke the NIH, like anyone who committed fraud there is going to be gone too. And
yeah, but that's kind of like saying, oh, you know what, my finger has cancer. Let's chop off the arm, cure cancer. Well, yeah, maybe, but
those departmental cuts, I think a lot of people were okay with it. I think now, like, we haven't even seen the fallout from that,
right?
And now we've moved on already to, and this is only month 2 that he's in office. I mean, it's gonna be a crazy 4 years.
Well, that's the thing. I don't know if we can take it financially.
Yeah, you would think the people around him, these are not morons. These are like business people.
Well, but if they have Congress literally came out and said, we'd like to cede power to the president. Like, no, that's literally why you guys exist.
Mm-hmm.
But if you don't have to listen to, and you don't listen to the people around you, it doesn't matter how good the people around you are.
All indications are he is listening to everyone around him.
I'm sorry, what indication of this looks like he's listening?
Rutnick, I think.
No, ignore the people. Do this. Which part of this nuclear financial winter suggests that he's listening?
His cabinet.
You think his cabinet suggests this is a good idea?
Yeah, I think they're very pro tariff. I think they're very pro bonds as well. They're like bond arbitrage. I don't know
any businessman in his right mind.
The danger is
a good idea.
The danger is the people near him are bond arbitrage, and they are having ulterior motives besides the good of the country, which is no different than the last administration with Pelosi's.
I don't care about the last administration. I care about the last administration.
No, but you traded like one bad.
For my point's a different one. My point's very simply, and I would judge the last administration the exact same way I'm judging this administration, which is what have you done for me since you came into power? That's the only thing I care about.
Which was nothing for them either.
It does. I don't even care. I'm past that. I've moved on.
Right.
What I'm looking at right now is you've come in here and completely destroyed the financial like no one's and here's the thing, I'm not coming at it politically. I'm going purely on a financial basis. You're not helping my 401k. You're not helping my savings. You're not helping. There's no certainty.
That's only get Darshan mad. Forget the NIH. But when it hits Darshan's portfolio, okay. The real Baba Yaga comes out. The Baba Yaga, we haven't seen Baba Yaga, bearded Baba Yaga yet. This is gonna get ugly, folks.
It's already ugly.
We're gonna need a T-shirt with the bearded Darshan, bearded Baba Yaga. Can I
Baba
trademark
Yaga's
your
back.
face? Am I allowed to trademark your face? You're in a
No, not my face, but you can trademark the words.
Can I trademark like a characterization of you? Like
No, I wouldn't allow it. You need a release from me.
How much different must it look from you to be okay?
Different enough is how the courts would usually.
Okay, so we'll go that far. Just that far. just north of enough.
just north of enough. That's funny.
Well, so are you concerned or are you just pissed off?
Concerned about what? About pharma? I don't think we've seen
our
pharma
industry. Yet. Yeah,
no, I don't think we've seen the impact of that. So, from my thought process, I think what's going to happen for pharma, I'm just guessing here, is he's going to come in and say, whatever happened to tariffs is one thing. Your next step is, we want you to match prices in Europe. That's my best guess. If he says that, then everything kind of kaputs again, right? Because you don't have the same returns.
The other shoe to drop.
Correct.
So, and just explain what that means. I know we've covered it on other pods with you, but can you just give a summary of what that means?
Sure. So, essentially speaking, most countries do have some version of price caps. Whether it is NICE in the UK, which has basically says that we're going to look at certain criteria and evaluate whether it makes sense to do it. Health Canada is a version, and France is a version, and all of them have versions. One of the ideas I heard being thrown around, I don't know if it's true or it's real or any of that stuff, but like he'd say, we'll compare Medicare and Medicaid already say that they have best price guarantees. So if any of your insurance companies are charging you X, you can't be more than X. But he might say, I'm going to tie it to the other companies out there, the other countries out there, and I'm going to insist that the price match these 5 countries. And if you can't match them, then you can't be in. And what does that mean? You'd need laws for that and everything else.
Okay, so and this is your very educated hypothesis that the next thing after tariffs, you speculate, is drug pricing for the U.S. Like you must match.
That's something I've heard, but I don't know if it'll work out or not.
You heard just around, or you have sources?
No, not sources kind of thing. It's like I thought I heard him say something like that, but it was him still more ideating than anything else. But again,
he ideates a lot. He
ideates a lot. So.
He thinks out loud very much, and then those thoughts become policy.
Yeah, exactly.
Before we know it. Before we know it, the thoughts become like words, and thoughts do precede words. But when you're running a country, you got to have like maybe a game plan.
Yeah.
And to your point, I think no one knows the game plan except people around him. They've done, to their credit though, like they've done long form podcasts with people. Like I watched the All In, they've had Rutnick on. He discussed they were talking about tariffs before Trump got elected. Trump, let's say Trump and the administration.
They had a podcast?
They were on the All In pod. Yeah,
Rutnick, on the All In podcast. Now I'm with you. Okay. Now I'm with you.
Like long form, like 2 hours plus.
Yeah, no, I've listened to them. I like the podcast generally.
They're not like hiding their game plan, right? But they're not expressively like putting it out for everyone. Like it is there, but it's not like in an official form.
Yeah.
Right. And to their credit, at least, this was predictable. Just no one believed it. Like,
no, I don't
everyone
think
thought this was like
not where we are.
But they said tariffs from before he got elected.
No, sure. They said tariffs, but they said reciprocal tariffs. They said reasonable tariffs. I don't think any of that's not where we are right now.
Right. And that's where it becomes arbitrary, right? Because,
Right.
well, what's reasonable to
Right.
the general public may not be reasonable to Trump.
Correct. So to me,
So it
it's
boils
always
down to
about talk.
philosophy. Everything's philosophy at some point.
Yeah.
The philosophy of Trump is someone should write a book on this.
Anyways, it's Monday morning, so I do need to get back to work. But
Yeah, you've lost a lot of value in your portfolio, man. You need to make it up.
exactly.
Is your business
Exactly.
slowing down?
Uh, no, I don't know yet. I'll
Okay.
find out soon.
Ours are not, but I mean, I'll find out at some point.
Yeah,
Ours
I'm.
was picking up.
Yeah, that's what I can't tell yet, but
Yeah.
we'll find out soon enough. I think it's early.
Well, let's hope for a soft landing to this mess, and maybe the poker game has been played, and Trump realizes the extent of his own power and has some humility here. And
I hope so.
yeah,
I hope we can dig out of this.
okay.
Well,
Well,
Mr. Fair, it was amazing.
like, subscribe, comment, share, and I don't think we lost any followers this time, but we
Not yet.
lost a
Oh,
lot
we
last
might.
time.
We might.
Bye bye.
Bye.